If I may, Ms. Nomfundo, I would like to come to you. So we heard from the utility, and they're doing, they're making workplace more comfortable, and they're working with different ministries, making sure that they attract women. But attracting women to work in technical fields is not just about hiring women. It's about hiring women with skills and experience, which means we need to have women that are competitive at the labor market, which means we need to educate women. And it starts with girls who would want to go into technical fields and they find it cool and interesting. And we know that you in Eswatini had put a lot of thought into that, how to nourish this uptake of the labor market by women from early age, from elementary school. So if you could tell us a little bit what programs and you put in place with the strategic vision of having more women specialists in technical fields and energy.
Good morning. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm Nomfundo Sukati from Eswatini, and I think for most of you, I'm not maybe in the engineering scientific field, but it is important for us as we are embarking in this adventure of ours to consider that there are other sectors that we have to tap into that will feed into the system so that at the end of the day, we have the career paths for women that we would like to see, so that we don't have the kind of figures that were reflected on the slides. In Eswatini, we established a partnership, and I think that is very key because the issue of gender in almost all our countries has been discussed. But what is key is to ensure that the various ministries do not work in isolation. So we were approached by the Minister of Natural Resources and Energy to work together with them in this adventure, the engagements that they were involved in with the World Bank. But because they were talking gender issues are not solely the mandate of the education sector. There's also another ministry, which is a gender unit department, which is headed by the Deputy Prime Minister's office. So it meant that even for the Minister of Natural Resources, they would now have a partnership with that gender unit, and the same gender unit would now come into another ministry, the Ministry of Education and Training, and engage us there. And as we were talking about the issue, I've already mentioned in our curriculum, we already have a section on gender, but we have not had a section on gender and energy. At the same time, when most leaders or policymakers, when we're in meetings, we tend to think the education system can do it all. But the curriculum space is a very contested space. Everyone has issues, and every one of them is pressing, and every one of them is relevant for our countries, developing countries. So how do we manage that? This is what we need to do for the country. It's also what we need to do to help the country reach these goals and ensure that the partnership is maintained.
When I was reading, a little bit about it yesterday, what I was impressed with, that you start with curriculum at the elementary school. So you basically start from very, very, very early age. So how did you manage to get space there?
Okay, thanks. When we started the collaboration, you must remember that we're talking about curriculum, but not the subjects are vast. And everyone thinks their content is important. So the World Bank took us through a training program just to capacitate us so that we have this lens now that when we're looking at the curriculum, we're looking at the gender issue in the energy sector. And I think that is very important because in our country, the Curriculum Center not only develops the curriculum, but we also prepare materials. And at the primary level, at the elementary, so we have phases, it's from grade 1 up to grade 7. And if we're developing instructional materials, every child has a book in our country. And we have to ensure that we influence that and we start looking at our content from the lens of gender in energy. We can't do that. If I'm an English specialist and I haven't been trained, it's impossible. At the same time, you're asking me to review my content and mainstream because We cannot have a separate subject that will address this issue, but we can only address the issue by integrating it and mainstreaming it. So we engaged with curriculum designers, and I think what is key to have everyone on board is to ensure that you train them so that they also feel comfortable in their own space, in their technical know-how, so that they can then integrate our issues that we think are relevant for the day.
And may I also follow up on that? You know, teaching is a very difficult job. And the best teachers are there, you know, for 25, 30 years, and they know how to do it. But on the other hand, it's also very difficult to get outside of your comfort zone and start teaching something new, something that could be, you know, even go against what you grew up with. So how do you encourage teachers to pick this up?
Yes, even for the curriculum designers who are even going to develop the content, you are expecting people to change from their comfort zones. And remember, there are many issues that are flooding the curriculum. So as we train them, we ensure that they have the workshops, they are comfortable, they ask questions, even the uncomfortable questions. Fortunately for Eswatini, when the gender mainstreaming in the curriculum issue was raised, we were just about to complete our phase. So it was just that stage for a revision. So we were looking at doing things differently. There are so many issues that have come up, and we are fully aware that we need to upscale in our curriculum so that we can also be competent. And that is what we started to do. So we trained the curriculum designers, and then we started looking at our content before we even revised. What is it that we actually had on gender? Is there a length that was looking at the energy issue? So we followed our curriculum processes. We do what we call a curriculum audit, where we look at the extent of the coverage of the issue at hand. But I think you'll all agree with me, I can't evaluate and assess if I don't even know what I'm supposed to look for. So you need to take me through the processes. We developed the tools that were required. We had constant to and fro meetings with people from the energy sector to see that are these the key themes that we are looking for? What exactly is it are we looking for? And how best can we ensure that when we're auditing, we see what is missing? So we established the gaps that were there, and with the expertise that they were providing for us, we looked at how best now can we mitigate that issue. So going further, we started then saying, okay, since we're going to get into a new phase, let us now map out the content. And as we're mapping out these gender issues, we are going to ensure that we have this segment on energy. So for us, for example, if I'm preparing materials, the books are in color, but if you're used to thinking of maybe a mechanic as a male, and whether it's an English story or it's mathematics, but you have an artwork brief that shows you a man who's a mechanic, children and at that age, the learners, they grow up with that perception. So it's about changing the way we view the world now so that we do get the various sectors, which I think we are all aware, there are not too many. So start talking about the women engineers. There may be few, but provide the opportunity for them to see that these are attainable. And at elementary level, we're just building up the interest and the positive attitude, because it's not a time where they're already orienting themselves to maybe the technical know-how for secondary education level or tertiary education level. But it's just ensuring that we maintain the interest, that they see it being reflected, and it's not a barrier where it's really inaccessible. So our materials, we want to ensure that they represent that, and we will see that.
Much, Ms. Nomfundo, and let's give her a round of applause. Thank you.